It was many years ago, probably more years ago than either one of us would care to admit, but I had recently eaten at his Johnny Garlic's restaurant, and I remember thinking what a great, unique menu he had, and particularly what a fun dining experience it was. And I was very curious to meet him. I got a chance, obviously, soon thereafter to meet Guy, and over the years, interview him many times on set, at the Sonoma County Fair, many different venues. And I want to tell you right now, for those of you who think that the way he looks is a result of trying to look unique for television, I want to tell you he's always looked like this, okay? This is who Guy is. And I don't want to take up any more time because I know you want to hear what he has to say and how somebody who started out with a restaurant, and even further back than that, he'll tell you the story, but started off just in a very small way and is now a huge Food Network star, and he's everywhere. I mean, I can't turn on any channel without seeing Guy at some point. So without further ado, let me introduce Mr. Guy Fieri. I think they like you.
Oh, am I not on? I just talked out loud. I was probably on the whole time out there as we were talking about Ed. Nope, you're right. I was off. You guys don't have anything. Wow. So there's not much going on campus tonight, huh? Thanks for coming out, you guys. This is cool. Last time I was on this campus, I wasn't getting in trouble. Last time I was on this campus, I went to offense, defense football camp. Mm-hmm. And the dorms didn't look anything like this when I stayed here. And I don't know what the cafeteria food's like now, but boy, it was rough. Anyhow, but thank you all for having me. Thanks for coming out. This is the fun stuff. I go to quite a few schools and speak, but it's nice coming to your hometown and seeing all the people that helped get me here. So who cheated and got me on this network when you guys voted? Thank you. I'll talk to you after this.
Well, Guy, I know a lot of people, in fact, we have a lot of student questions that we're going to get to in a little bit, but I know one of the most common questions that comes up is how did it all start? How does somebody become a Food Network and Elsewhere star from such humble beginnings?
What's an Elsewhere star?
I've seen you on
I took astrology. I never heard of Elsewhere. I'll tell you something, and I get asked this question all the time, and I wish I really had an easy answer for you. I didn't really want to do this. No, not come see y'all. Little Paula Dean comes out. I like this crowd. I was having free beers brought to all of you, but it doesn't seem like we need it. Just kidding. It's on Ed's tab. No, I was a restaurant guy. That's all I wanted to really be. I wanted to be a great dad. I got two really healthy, fantastic boys, and I wanted to have restaurants. And I came here to Sonoma County specifically to open my restaurants. I was down in Los Angeles doing a restaurant company, and give props for LA. But LA, if you take a look outside here, you can see the sky. But I lived in Long Beach. I had a great time. I loved what I did. I was a single dude, had a million things going on. That was all cool. But when I thought about having a family, where do I want to raise my family? And that's probably a lot of reasons that your parents let you come to school in Sonoma County, because this is a really, really cool place to live. And so I was originally from Humboldt. There you go. Anybody from Ferndale? Okay. Fortuna, close enough. That's like the upscale Ferndale. But I wanted to have restaurants here, so I came up here to build Johnny Garlic's, and that's what we did almost 15 years ago now, which scares me to death. But that's all I wanted to do. So I was in this. I'm doing this restaurant thing, and all my buddies kept calling me after this Food Network thing was on. And to be very honest with you, I never watched Food Network because we only had Hunter at the time, and I would watch Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, the real intelligent vision television. So that's all I would I'd watch, and my buddies were hammering me, dude, you gotta see this show. It's called The Next Food Network Star. You gotta be on this. I'm like, dude, I don't have to be. I don't wait in line. I don't sign up for things. I don't enter contests. I'm not my thing. And I'm not even really into real reality television because someone's usually looking like a fool in it. And, you know, Lord knows I'd go, and that would be me. So my buddy said to me, one of my buddies, Mustard, was in town. All my buddies have nicknames, by the way, and Mustard happens to be, and it's a long story. We don't have all night, right? So Mustard says, hey, dude, you got to turn that tape in for that Food Network thing. I said, nah, not so much. I don't think I'm going to do it. He's like, dude, you have got, I swear, I'm telling you, I watched last season. You will kill, I promise you. I'm like, nah, man, I don't want to do this. So he says, well, let's go down to the restaurant anyways. And no, I'm not kidding you. My friends, it was like an intervention. And they made me do this. So I sign up for the gig, or I do the thing, they walk me to the pack mail to mail it. And the funny story, and I don't know, I've seen you since I found this out. Well, anyhow, long story short, I mail it in, and the casting director, they get like, you know, I don't know, 3,000 to 4,000 people that signed up for this. And the casting director, they'd already cast the show. The show was done. And they get my DVD, and they go to play it. And I was late. I was even a day late, I think. And they go to play it, and it won't play at Food Network. Antiquated old systems. You know, no, I'm just kidding. So she takes it home with her. She throws her bag on the counter. This is about midnight New York time. Throws her bag on the counter, and out slides the hockey puck of fame. And she called me a year later after this whole thing happened on my anniversary of winning and told me this story. She said, I'd gone home, I threw my bag on the counter, it fell out onto the table. She goes, oh, I remember, I got to look at this. This guy that's making a thing called the Jackass Roll, that's the dish I cooked for them on stage. I knew for sure I could keep myself out of having to do this if I called my dish the Jackass Roll, as in the donkey. And there are younger people here. So she said she took it and she put it in her DVD player at home and she watched it. And she said for the first 30, 40 seconds, she really thought that I had like emotional issues. And then after that, she knew for sure I did. And she said it was so remarkable and so funny that she had to show them at network. She took the DVD player out of the wall, put it in her bag, and took it to Food Network. Now, anybody that ever saw this intro to this, my demo tape, in a very monotone voice, I say, do you want to see this? Do you want to see what I did? Yeah. I'd see how into it you guys are. Ed's got like 90 questions. I'm going to blow out the whole half hour. So I said, I'm in Tex Wasabi. You ever been there? Yeah. Next time we do this, Bebout, we cater.
There you go.
So anyhow, I sit there at the bar, and it's real slow. It's like 9 in the morning, and I look at the camera, and I said, hi, I'm Guy Fieri, and I'm here in Santa Rosa, California. This is just how I did it. I'm here in Santa Rosa, California, at my restaurant, Tex Wasabi's, in the home of the wine country. Today, I'm going to be making a stuffed tofu and sausage terrine. I'll be serving that over sausage and tofu, okay, get it? I'll be serving that over a mildly poached ostrich egg. And because we're in the wine country, I'll be serving that over a delicious bed of grape nuts. And I'll be topping that all off with a scrumptious pickled herring mousse. Oh, I know, it just gives me shivers up my spine. And I sit there with this whole church lady thing going on. Those of you that are old enough to remember that. And then I start laughing, and I go, what's wrong with you people at Food Network? Why has it got to be so difficult? Real food, real people. So now I get up and I walk away, and the camera's following me. So I go over to the sushi bar, and I start rolling some sushi. Well, if you ever really get to see this thing, you'll notice that I don't cook at all in this. I just talk, blah, 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 and I partially roll the sushi, never show the completed dish, nothing. I have guaranteed that I will not have to go on to this reality show. And it was the funniest thing in the world. So anyhow, she gets the tape. So it's 10:30 at night, California time, sitting on the couch watching, I don't know, American Idol or something. And all of a sudden, the phone starts ringing, the home phone. Well, nobody ever calls a home phone in my house because I'm only using my cell phone, and my wife uses a cell phone. So the phone's ringing, 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 ringing. So she just happens to be over by the phone, and she looks at it, and she goes. So she picks up the phone, it's an area code she doesn't recognize, and answers and goes, hello. No. Nope. I don't know. I'm sorry. Hold on. And I go, well, what was this all? What? And she goes, it's Food Network, right? 10:30 at night. I was born at night, not last night. It's 10:30 California time. What time is it in New York? Well, let's talk about math. The next day. So I go, tear up those note cards. We're on now, baby. So I go, is it the Food Network? Yes, I'm calling you. Are you really? Who is this? I'm calling the casting director. Oh, you're the casting director. Why don't you cast him? So this literally goes on for about 5 minutes. Finally, she says, can I just talk to your wife again? Or can I speak to your wife, Lori? And I go, whoa, are you really serious? And she says, well, listen, we've seen your demo tape. Thank goodness I have 25 years in the industry of casting people, because when the network executives watched the first 30 seconds of this, they were all ready to walk out of the room, because here's Marty Monotone, barely giving out this ridiculous recipe, and all of a sudden you start laughing and everybody's like, oh my goodness, I'm glad this guy really had the real deal behind it. And that's how it started. And next thing I know, I'm in flip-flops and shorts in New York City, and I step out of the cab, and I'm in snow that deep, and I said, we are not in Santa Rosa anymore. So that's how it started.
This is why Guy was such an easy interview when he was on our news program. Once we got him out of his shell, of course. You say, Guy, how's it going? And then you just sit there until your director does this, and that's it.
Ed would go get coffee and come back. On a run today, ain't he, honey?
So how often are you on the road now, filming the various shows?
I have 4 shows now, and we just turned down some actually big shows. We just turned down a couple network shows because I'm fulfilling my contract of love. I just signed a new contract with the Food Network, a new 4-year deal, and thank you. Which is nice, because it got me out of the contract I signed up for originally. When I went on the show, you signed this really delicious contract. We use these terms in Food Network descriptions. And I joke about that because Food Network's been fantastic to me. I just signed a new contract. So last year I did 220 days on the road. Hard. Man, I cannot understand. I was talking to one of my buddies in a rock band, and I said, dude, how do you do it? And he says, I'm on 3 hours and I'm off. He says, you shoot all day. He says, it's a different world. So we shot 220 last year. This year, my contract, we've shrunk it down quite a bit, and I'm on 120. So I'm on 120 days on the road, which sometimes we get to shoot around here, so that helps, and sometimes I bring the family with me. But I actually changed the structure of my deal. I was supposed to go on for 180 days, but I took less money and took less days, because I said the money I can get anytime, I can't gain back the days with my kids. So I just, Can I offer you an Aquafina?
Oh, I am fine, thank you.
And a bucket of vodka. I've never quite seen it set up like this, but I like this. None for Ed, all for Guy.
I think 15 years ago, I was probably the star. Now I'm nobody, and you're huge.
No, and I'll be very honest with y'all, and I don't even know what Ed does here.
No one does.
No, but I will honestly tell you this. This came up, the discussion came up, it was last year, and that's how far out my schedule is to get things done. We just got invited to go back to the Persian Gulf to cook for the troops. But it's funny when you say, well, I don't know what my schedule looks like in 2010. Let me get back to you. But it really is that way. That's how all that entertainment stuff works. It's so far planned out. But when I heard that you were here and that I was going to have a chance to come, this dude gave to this community for so many years. And when I was a little restaurant dude, he was propping my gig. So when I found out I got to hang with you, I didn't know that we were going to have 500 people with us, but But thank you, and I really appreciate you guys coming out, because this is neat to see that your student government, your student union is putting on extracurricular events, and you know, maybe one of these days when we do this, we can cook or something.
Yeah.
You know, I
I think you're definitely welcome to come back anytime, that's for sure.
don't know. Very cool.
So yeah, so trying to strike that balance, that must be really hard. I mean, you talk about, oh, I've got 4 shows, like, hey, that's no big deal. I know most people would just be collapsing after one.
It is a big challenge. You know, it's called making hay while the sun's shining. I mean, what are we in Alaska? Is the sun going to go down at all? You know, it's a crazy thing. But I'm blessed with the opportunity, and my thing is a little bit different than I think the average person's gig. The Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Have you guys ever seen that show? We could have 3 people in this room would sound acoustically correct. I love this journey. The Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives show has been the number 1 show. Little embarrassed to say it, but it's been
New York Times bestseller. Let's not forget that too.
Because me being the novelist and all, you know. They told me to write this. Oh, you got the book there. Thank you. So they said, hey, we want to do this book called Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and we want you to write it. And I'm like, well, homie, don't have any time. So I said, how about I just tell it? I'll just tell the book. And they said, fine. So they gave me and I just would have every week, I would get on the phone for like 2 hours and drink tons of coffee and just get into these trances and just ramble things. And this girl must have had like 9 tape recorders going. And we did this book in the matter of like 6 months. And it's just me telling stories, or, you know, kind of giving recaps and synopsis of what happens. So they send me, here's the funny thing about it, they send me the book ready to go. Okay, we're going to go to print. And they send me all, and it has all the pictures and everything. And I'm looking at the captions and I wrote back, these captions suck. So I took a block marker and scratched out all the captions and then sat around and made my own. And if you'll read through there, some of the captions are a little, but I made all my own captions, and I really thought that I would like get them, you know, and they love it. The more irreverent I get, the more they let it go. So we did the book, and I thought, okay, cool, you know, I have to do it because, you know, it has to go. But I think we're like in our 38th week in New York Times bestseller. So thank you for using the bot, for y'all bought it.
Now, you spend so much time just working the whole television gig now that how do you handle the restaurants, the thing that started it all?
Oh, I forgot I have those. God, I knew I'm supposed to do something when I get home. Oh, that's it. You know, I'll tell you something, and this is actually one of the messages that I wanted to say to you all. Those things that you get told. I was talking to elementary school. I wrote a letter to an elementary school yesterday. I get all this fan mail, and I really sit down and answer it. And I know that they don't believe it's me because the address on the front is in my handwriting also. So I know they think that somebody wrote it, and I write like a girl. I don't mean it that way, but I have, you know, I don't know. So anyhow, I'm not doing it in calligraphy. Don't get me there. But so I write, you know, I'm writing these things, and I know they don't believe it's me, but I actually sit down there. So I did like 30 last night, primarily to kids. I don't like to get into the ones, you know, the 9-page diatribes that come from prisons. Those freak me out, which they do write me from prison. And so I don't even want to talk about it. A bunch of freaks even thinking about it. So, mail me a cake. No, the freaky thing is the people that send me food to my address. So the other day, Tom's my manager, and they send it. We send everything to Tom's address because we don't really want our home address to be out there. And we were gone for like 2 or 3 days, and someone had sent, what was it, chili and crab and all this stuff. Oh. And we cracked the box and then opened the cooler inside. His office still stinks. And that was like 2 years ago. But anyhow, what I was saying to these kids, I wrote this note, it's for their inspiration board, is I said, that old thing that your parents and your grandparents and your teachers and everybody told you is prepare for the future. And everything that you learn now is going to make an impact on your life in the future. And I was one of those students that was like, yeah. You don't know how incredible my mind works. I'm prepared. And I got burned a lot by that, thinking that I always was prepared. So when I opened my first restaurant, I said, okay, I can't do this on my own. And I was only 25 when we opened the first Johnny Garlic's. And so I said, if I'm going to have all these people come work with me, then I really need to empower them to do the job like they own this joint. And really, that's how we did it. I mean, and if you work in our company still today, you can buy anything you want for a guest. We try not to do alcohol because it can sometimes fuel a situation. But even if they want, say you come in, you want garlic fries and you want the tortilla cake, and we get the garlic fries, the team members have the power to go and say, here, I bought you this tortilla cake. Why wouldn't I want them to stoke out the guest? I mean, it's better than buying advertising, you know, because if you get something, when was the last time you got anything for free? You know, purposefully, you know? So that's how it became. So the whole thing, circling around to this point that I was trying to make, the reason this all worked, honestly, because the first 2 years I was in Food Network, there was really no money. The reason this all worked was because I had a phenomenal team around me that ran my restaurants, and a great business partner, and a great wife, and great parents and friends. All those investments in people that you wonder, when will you have to call back on them? And I can only imagine what somebody feels like that goes through a tragedy, and how they have to be able to call on their friends and family. But this investment you make in yourself, and this investment you make in your friends, and this investment you make in your community, I will tell you something, comes around tenfold. Because if you all remember, those of you that knew about the contest, it came down to a vote. It came down to a vote between a guy named Reggie Sutherland and myself. And it blew Food Network's mind that movie marquees said, vote for Guy. The newspaper had a whole thing about vote for Guy. Someone rented one of those, those Caltrans work boards, or that or bootlegged it and put on vote for Guy. And that's one of the messages I try to send to everybody is, please don't go through this by yourself. Please recognize that everybody around you needs help and love and support and friendship. And you never know when you're going to have to rely on that. And that's probably been what, if you really want to say what's made my career, I think the blah, blah, blah I can do. And I think I know food better than I know anything. But I really will tell you that I could not, in any way, shape, or form, be where I'm at had it not been the people that I was surrounded by. That's the truth.
I like that. Well, what I want to do now is I want to jump to some of the questions from the audience, because there's a few good ones on here that I would like to get in.
What about this you telling me we got to karaoke tonight? What was that whole thing be about?
Maybe. If we have time, if you can, not filibuster, we might.
You should see him do John Denver. Oh, my goodness. Woo! Bring it tear to the eye.
Okay. Here's a question from the audience. Enough, all right. What happens if you do not like the food when filming diners, drive-ins, and dives? You don't go Gordon Ramsay on them, do you? Or?
Yeah, I spit it out. No. That's number one question. Actually, no, number one question is, you're not as fat as you are on TV. Hands down. Number one thing. Now, just listen to the way it sounds. Not as fat. So therefore, you are fatty, but you're not as fat. This is how people greet me. It's like, you're not nearly as ugly as I thought you were. Let's go out. So you're not as fat as you're on TV. So I'm in Kentucky or somewhere. I'm in some such, and I'm in a mall. That was crazy. That's not like going to Newport Mall. When you're in a mall down there, it's really, everything that we had went there, So I get there, and that's actually, I'm joking, but so I'm down there, and I walk across, and this big old guy comes up to me, and he looks at me, and he kind of meets me in the hallway, and he looks at me and goes, ain't you that feller from the food TV? Or the Eating Channel, I think he called it. And I said, yeah, and he goes, oh, the Diners, Debutantes, and Derelict show. I said, yeah, I'm trying to, move, and he's, he's blocking the whole aisle. And he goes, you ain't as fat as you is on TV. So now I'm really going to get out of it, okay? I go, well, sir, appealing to his intellect, the camera adds 5 pounds. What you got, 5 cameras? I said, buddy, that was really good math without you taking your shoe off. So that's the number one asked question. And it does. The camera does. It does add 5 pounds. And also, bowling shirts are real slimming. But that's another story. I get out of the limo. I got hired to do the show. It was a special, only at that time. Flew out on the red eye. I'm in a tank top, flip-flops, the same shorts I wear all the time. Come rolling out, and I'm like looking at these guys, and I can tell one's a camera guy because I've been up all night on the plane, free cocktails in first class. And I go, "Are you guys the film crew for this?" And they look at me and go, here's another welcoming gesture. "You're not Guy Fieri, are you?" That's the name they gave me, full on Spicoli. And the producer comes and he's got his pants way up underneath his arms. Comes out with his clipboard. He goes, "Is that what you're wearing?" I'm like, "No, man, I got a shirt." "Well, put it on." So I reach in my bag. I put on, like this shirt all. I'm ready to go, dude. Take the sunglasses, put them on. He goes, "You gonna wear the sunglasses?" I go, "Oh, you're gonna lose them if I give them to you. Let's roll." And that's it. And so I was telling him, I was doing this big convention, and I was telling everybody the story. And I said, "Man, that was the right day not to throw on the tube top." Could you imagine 9 seasons of wearing that whole same outfit? Anyhow, go ahead, Ed. What was the question?
Yeah, I was going to say, is there an answer in there somewhere?
What was the question? It was, do I like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I don't like it, I don't say I do. I don't have time for that. But who wants to see a show? Spiky-haired dude drives hot rod around country and goes to places that, that suck. No, I don't. That's not my style. I'm not a food critic. I tell you about the things that are really dynamite. If I say it's good, it's good. If I say it's great, it's great. In my world, and that's how I do it. I look at all. I mean, it has to be real deal. We've walked out of places. Oh, talk about heartbreaking. First few times it wasn't too bad. Because they didn't know who we were. We used to have to fight people to let us come film there. They'd be like, "Well, we don't know. Are we a diner? No. Are we a drive-in? So you're saying we're a dive. We don't want you to be." Oh, I'm sorry. It's Food Network. You're only going to get like 1 billion people coming here. So after the show aired, the first episode or the special aired, and then we went to a series, and they give us like 13 series. If you get 6. It's okay. That's how I started on Food Network. 6 guys, big bite. That was it. Get 13, that's pretty good. 26, they order up 26, you're gangster. If they order up 52, they own you. So they have us down for 104. No, if I taste it, I tell you. If I tell you I like it, because you'll go there, and then you'll say, "Well, that was horrible. I'm not going to listen to Fieri anymore." So this happens to me. I'm like at this big, cooking at this demo, 2,500 people there. And in the East, by the way, in the East Coast, when they put on cooking events, it is like Motley Crue concerts, all right? And so I'm cooking, and this lady goes to do the question, and she says, "By the way," she asks me a question, "Do you remember?" I say, "Oh, yes, ma'am. If I don't like it, I tell you. Well, I went to this place you went to, and it sucked. And I don't believe anything you say." I'm like, "Oh, my God, she's ripping me." And I said, "But, ma'am, what did you have?" "I had the blue cheeseburger with extra and I go, "Ma'am, I didn't have the blue cheeseburger." "Oh, I know you didn't. You had the waffles." I said, "Then I'm off the hook, lady. I didn't tell you to go there for that. I didn't say everything's great." So no, if I say I dig it, but we've had some gnarly joints, man. We've walked out of some places, and it's weird too because they're all there, The news is there, their family's there, and I go to the bathroom and climb out the window. I'm gone.
Well, here's that audience question about your appearance. Here's what they say. How do you get your hair to stay so flawless? That's part 1.
Flawless.
And
we got to talk about the definitions here on,
Can you change it now that it's synonymous with your television personality or character?
Well, it's not just synonymous with my personality and character. There's also about another 250 people out there that are pulling off the same gig, evidently, these days. Wow. We've had some impersonator issues recently. And some pull it off well and do nice things, and others do just real goofy things. And I don't even get it. But no, the hair's not flawless. I started the hair because a girlfriend of mine that was cutting my hair hated my my rocker mullet, which I still wish I had. But she didn't like it, and so my buddies and I were in Vegas, where I went to college, and we were down there for a buddy's birthday party, and we were shaving his head to congratulate him for his birthday. And so I was asking her how to do it, because we almost took his ear off the first 3 times. The dude looked like he'd been hit with a hockey puck, like 9 times. And I'm like, I think there's like a plastic thing that goes on it, don't you? So he was a mess, and she said, by the way, if you shave your head, I will never talk to you again, because I am the one that gets to cut that achy, breaky heart off you. And so, and this was like 7, 9, 12 years ago. I don't know how many years ago. So I flew home the next day, and I went in, and she says, okay, I'm going to cut your hair. And I said, rock it. She goes, can I do anything I want? I go, what? Yeah. I'm like, well, what could you do? This. So this kind of became a thing. So it was purple and green, and I did different colors, and I did the whole rainbow. And I just happened to go to Food Network with this versus black. And usually in the wintertime, I would have it black, and I don't know why it was blonde, so I went with it this way. And no, I don't do anything to it. That's wax. I don't. I have to get reminded when it starts to go 50-50 bar on me, when it's that long, and it's. But I'm actually a natural blonde. I dye my roots. But so sometimes I forget that I have that, like I'll be on the plane and I'll be asleep and I'll wake up and, I do that and then I cruise out and I take pictures and there's usually, do the thing. And then I'll get in the limo and I'll look and I'm like, oh God, full on flock of seagulls, And no one tells you, oh, it must be new. Yeah, I don't. I don't really. Nothing really floats my boat. I mean, my ego is more around my kids and my hot rods. I'm a big car freak, so that's the hair thing. Is just kind of it is what it is, and it'll kind of go for a while. But it's right now at the advisement of everyone in my camp, between my agents and my attorneys and all that. They all say, we'll quit if you cut it. So I think it might be this way, but I think orange afro's next. Like the one you had?
Yeah. Side note, by the way, flock of seagulls, that's what he does in karaoke.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and you should see when he dances it. See, I'll sing, and then he mimics the video. We are hot.
Oh, man. A couple old 80s guys here, right? All right, here's a hygiene question for you, Guy. When mixing meat or other ingredients, why do you wear your rings on your show, Guy's Big Bite?
Because I keep the flavor packets under those. Majority of the time, and I can't say it's always, because I think always is setting yourself up to get, one person watching in Schenectady taking notes. On episode 812, in the halfway through, people do. People sit at home and you use the wrong tenths of a word, or you say teaspoon and they slow-mo it and measure it with a micrometer. There's no way that was a tablespoon. Majority of the time I'll take off my rings. I usually call it de-blinging, because there is a chance that stuff can get up underneath them. But that's, I'm pretty conscious that I teach before I was on Food Network, just doing the restaurants. And I thought I was busy then, but before doing the restaurants, I taught food safety for the state of California, a program called Serve Safe. So I'm pretty conscientious about how it goes and where it goes, but that's all I have to say about that.
How's your life changed since being in the spotlight? We kind of touched upon that a little bit, but when you're home, we know how it's changed when you're on the road and when you're filming, but when you're at home, how's your life different?
Well, you know that you've been gone a little too long when your 12-year-old comes out and goes, you look just like my dad. Really, he said that. He thought he was being really funny. It's crazy. I'll tell you something. It's that whole invest in your future kind of thing, and that's probably what my biggest interest is right now, is investing in my kids' futures. It's, there's a lot of fringe benefits. There's a lot of cool things. I went to the Kentucky Derby a couple weeks ago, walked the red carpet in the Kentucky Derby and have people ask you if you're Joey Fatone's brother. That goes over big. I ended up hanging out with Joey for one night. We ended up hanging out at this big party, and it was the funniest thing in the world. Man, I never knew how much we looked alike. It's crazy. I told him to put some more weight back on so we could be twins. But no, there's goods about it. There's the there's negs about it. I didn't like the TMZ thing. Kind of sucked. I wasn't too wild about that. But for the most part, I'll say it's pretty cool. You know what I really like is I really like what the influence of the show does to small business. I really am interested. I mean, I'm a small business owner, so knowing what it did to Hanks Creekside when we had the show here, when we shot here in Sonoma County, the letters that we get from people that talk about the impact that it makes on lives. I mean, the average restaurant, after we shoot at Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, their business minimum goes up 100%.
And it's got to feel good when you do something like that locally. You mentioned that we know you live here, but you also stay very active in the community, which doesn't happen a lot when somebody hits the big time. They buy that house in the Beverly Hills area. And
they move. Yeah, I didn't want to move. I love where I live. I love my community. I feel that I got here because I was well supported in my restaurants, and that's what it is. And I wanted to live in a community. I wanted to be somewhere where I could make an impact, where I could, where I could help. And I think that's what's happened. But no, it's funny because I do this. Oh, I'll tell you a great story. So on Guy's Big Bite, we shoot Guy's Big Bite. We shoot 3 shows a day. I get there at 7 in the morning, and I'm on like a news talk hour. I'm folding my leg. Yes, it's Ron Burgundy chair I have here. I'll tell you. My manager's shaking his head. Yul Brenner, ladies and gentlemen. So anyhow, I'm in Guy's Big Bite. I'm shooting the show, and I have different levels of producers. I have like vice president producers and producers and producers. So I'm in the show, and I'm pouring some white wine in. And I said, now I'm going to add a little of that Sonoma County's finest. As I pour some wine in, and I hear booming over the speaker, "Cut. Step off the stage." So I step off the stage, and down comes Mark Disson, the big producer. He pulls me over to the side, and he says, "Give me your mic." He takes my mic pack off and unplugs it because I can hear it all through the studio. And he goes, "Okay, how much?" "How much what?" "Don't play games with me. Just tell me how much. How much are they paying you? How much is who paying me? Listen, I'm letting you do it, but I want to know how much they're paying you." "Who paying me what?" He goes, "The California Sonoma Tourism Board. How much are they paying you for these free mentions every time you pour wine, the Sonoma County's finest? Or goat cheese from this, or Russian River Red, or something." And I said, "Nothing, man." He goes, "You're giving this all to them for free?" I said, "I love where I come from, man." I said, "I'm propping it all the time." I said, "We're Sonoma Countyans, and we live under this shadow so often of Napa," which thank goodness for Napa because it really helped identify this area. But I said, "I'm from Sonoma County, man. I'm proud." And he goes, and he shakes his head and he goes, "Could be getting a lot of money for that." Dummy, I feel like Happy Gilmore at that point.
That kind of brings up an interesting issue. We are in Sonoma County. We are in the wine country, and there's a lot of well-known chefs in this area. Not as well-known as you, but well-known. And let's just say they're maybe a little more of a serious persona than you have. Do you ever interact with them? And if so, what kind of reaction do you get from fellow chefs here in the wine country?
Well, didn't you hear the intro thing about the tofu terrine thing? I can throw down that way. I can get starchy. You know what? I don't know. I know a lot of chefs in the area. I think it's kind of like who makes what kind of music. Mm-hmm. How can you say one is better than the other? If you really are a fan of what you do, I think you appreciate how people do what they do. I get asked, one of the number one questions I get asked, "Who's your favorite chef?" And I said, "Anybody that loves it and kicks ass at it." Everybody here that loves to cook makes one thing probably better than than anybody else we know. Maybe it's enchiladas, maybe it's meatballs, maybe it's turkey panini. I mean, who knows? But when somebody does that, to me, that's like somebody singing their own song. Oh, I know that some people look at it and say, well, he is not accredited with the Chef Association. Yep, but I'm accredited with the Nielsen ratings. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really run into it. I'm real good friends with Mario Batali and with Charlie Trotter and Gene Ripper, and Paula Dean, but we all come from the different thing. And I don't, people ask me about Rachel Ray, and well, is she a chef? Do people eat the food? Do they buy the cookbooks? That's a chef, in my opinion. I don't necessarily need to have a certificate that says that I am. And if they do, that's power to them. I think that's awesome. So to me, I'm really proud. I think we have phenomenal chefs in this community. I think we have dynamite restaurants. I think that the one thing I like about this community is you can eat here and not have to take a second, on your house or on your portions. We serve real portions here. I was doing a gig with the folks from Zazu when we were in New York. And I just think it's an awesome restaurant. So the whole thing works. So anybody that has a trip on it, that's your own trip. I don't play the game. I just enjoy great food by great people, and that's kind of how I get down.
Now, I imagine there's a few fun perks. I was reading recently, just happened to come across this item that you were going to be...
Going to show off with the you can read, I can't thing again. Thanks. Thanks, Bebout.
But you're going, I think it's in June maybe, you're going to be a chef at a rock and roll fantasy camp.
We just did that. Rock and roll fantasy camp. Steven Tyler was the head counselor, and there was all these different musicians.
Steven Tyler counselor, that's an interesting concept.
Yeah, with me making the food. Yeah, it really went over big. No, it was awesome. We just did it. I had to fly straight out of the Kentucky Derby into fantasy camp, and I was supposed to be there playing the tambourine, but I wasn't quite feeling it. I don't know that I quite had the hip ready, or cowbell, which is what I asked to play. They said, well, what instrument would you like to play? I said, how about the keg or the cowbell? But yeah, we went down. So no, there's a lot.
Is that cool? I mean, you say, wow, I'm hanging out with Steven Tyler. That's not bad.
Let me tell you something. Some of the stories that we go on, but nobody wants to hear that, like road stories by Guy Fieri. No, I have more fun. I just raised there's kids here. I just raised a lot of money. I was going to use the S word, but it was an S load of money for a children's hospital in Louisville, Kentucky. 550 people came to a brunch I put on, and I don't brunch very well. And we raised a lot of money. And I remember we were on stage and we were auctioning off. I met the people that donated the stove. So I asked them if I could have it and auction it off later that day. Well, I dismantled. As we auctioned things, I started tearing things out of the stage, the wine cooler, the thing. And I kept going, it's okay though, right? And everybody would stare at him. It's fine. So I got it up to $9,000, all right? I'd ripped all their stuff, the wine cooler, the keg, all the pots and pans, the fake flowers, the whole enchilada, and I got it to $9,000, and I said, I want $10,000. I don't care what it takes. It's like 9 in the morning. I want $10,000. What's it take to get $10,000? And this dude in the very back goes, your sunglasses. Well, the guy didn't know this, but they were a one-of-a-kind sunglass I just had given to me by the sunglass manufacturer, by the president. They made them with one of my tattoos on them with my name, and they had just mailed them to me. So they were my signature pair of glasses I was wearing to the red carpet at the Kentucky Derby. And I had just sat there for 15 minutes and ranted and raved about having to hit $10,000. So I took them off, I polished them, I walked them over, I put them on, and the dude stood up and goes, $10,000. So to me, that's probably the biggest kick. I got auctioned off for $36,000 to cook a dinner at a home in New York in Manhattan for blood cancer research for kids. So for me, honestly, outside of all the stuff, and I'm not trying to like impress you guys all with this thing. I'm about kids. I mean, I love my kids. My sister had cancer when she was a kid and fortunately survived. I'm so about kids. And I look at this opportunity I'm given and say, I could just waste it away by just all the crazy, wild, fun things I can do. But when I get a chance to raise money and to participate, and I just started my foundation, when I get a chance to make money for that, that's honestly, rock camp's rock camp. That'll come and go. Making an impact on other people's lives is probably the bigger deal.
Well, I have to say, I don't think that Sonoma County could ask for a better ambassador. Like I say, you stuck with us even after...
You guys built this. You started this, Bebop.
A lot of people forget that, though. They forget that this is where it started, and you haven't, and I think that's really impressive.
No, I'll tell you, I think we all get our chance. It's kind of like your team that put this event on. I mean, that's a lot of connecting, especially with my team. It's like herding cats, trying to get my group to get here. They're waiting in the parking lot and check out. That was like a border patrol, Guy Fieri in there? Nope, go through. They found me. I was parked way out in the back of Jay, and they're on, they came to my truck. But y'all make your opportunity. Y'all create your time that you can make your impact. And I can't stress that enough, especially as young adults. I watch people that have bigger opportunities than me, 12, 10, 15, a million times, millionfold. And I look at it and go, why aren't you doing something with it? Oh, I'm tired, or I got other things, or da-da-da. And that's cool. That's what floats their boat. But I'm going to tell you something. The biggest reward I really get is I'm going to go away someday. My career may end. I may come off the network, whatever. But as long as I can look back at it and someone goes, didn't you sing that one song? That's not what I want. I want someone to say, didn't you help raise the money that built didn't you give to the kids that helped didn't you, as long as that's how I'm remembered, that's what I want. And that's what everybody has a chance to do. They just have to get out there and do something.
Well, I know it's almost time to wrap up, and I wanted to know, since we have several people out here I know are going to be graduating here in about a week, any words of wisdom as they head out into this booming economy?
Wow. I just had someone write me the other day and say what, I want to open up my own restaurant. And I said, well, there's an old saying in the restaurant business, and the greatest way to make a small fortune in the restaurant business is to start out with a large one. Fortune, that is. We don't have enough experience in our lives. Our lives have changed. I mean, we are so who here who recently, in the last 10 years, opened an encyclopedia to get any information? Okay? Well, they have these things called computers now, right? No, I'm just kidding. But, it used to be different. You used to have more skills. When was the last time anybody here changed oil in their car? Okay, great.
Wow. More people in open encyclopedia.
Well, but we're going up.
Yes.
But I'll tell you this: don't be in such a hurry, graduating students. Don't be in such a hurry to go out there and conquer the world. Get great experience. Get experience on somebody else's buck. I went and ran restaurants for a lot of people. Come on, I always wanted my own gig. I knew that for sure. But go do it on somebody else's time. I just formed my production company, Ragtop Productions. And I've been in this for 3.5 years now, and the reason that I finally did it now is I wanted to learn on somebody else's dollar before I started producing shows and losing my money. So take the time, go get experience. Don't worry about the money. You're not going to make any, all right? No, just realize that from 20 to 30, you don't make any money, and from 30 to 40, you'll make a little bit. It's when you get 40 up is when you're going to start making your money. But all that time ahead of that is the investment in you. And I tell people all the time, one of the number one things I'll look for in a resume, we're hiring managers because we're opening more restaurants. And I'll look at it and I'll say, I don't see any community service, Rotary, Kiwanis. I don't see anything in there. I'm just too busy. Interesting. I'm looking for somebody a little bit more well-rounded. Okay, and that's what's going on, is the well-rounded package players are the ones I think that are really going to have, it's a tough economy, it's tough getting jobs, there's a lot going on out there. Fortify yourself. That's the best advice I can give you. Money's going to come, opportunity's going to come. Invest in the number one asset you have, and that is yourself. You do that, and when it comes time to cash in and make the money and things are going to happen, you'll be ready. It's those that don't that'll be pulling out the pockets and saying, why not me? Best advice I can give you.
All right. Good advice. Well, that's as good a place as any to wrap this up. Before you go, though, Guy, I know that you mentioned the student team who put all this together, and they want to make a little presentation to you right now.
Very nice.
I just wanted to thank you for taking time to come and speak up to Nova City, and we have a little present for you. Rumor has it that you don't like sleeves on your shirt, so
That's a petite, right?
we wanted to give you the option to cut on the sleeves for you, or would you like them to stay on?
What do y'all think? Yeah, I think we got to cut. Oh, you brought your scissors. Now, there is a style to cutting your shirts, and I learned this from some of my NFL buddies. You don't cut it right on the seam. I don't want to show all of that gun show. Okay, so you cut it side. But actually, I don't think that I want to. You do want me to cut them off right now? No, I think this shirt looks too good. This shirt, and you good? You got the right size. Medium. Huh? Well, that's very. I'll tell you something. I'm a big fan of what goes on here. I think that when you're forward thinking enough and you utilize the resources in your community to do this is absolutely what should happen. I'll be more than happy to come back next year. Be more than happy to come back, and if we can get it together and we can. Why? Second question they ask, are you going to cook me something? So they say it to me every time I go to the airport. They have the routine. I know everybody at the airport in San Francisco when I'm flying out. And every time I come through, they go, did you bring anything to eat? Every time. So about every other trip now, I show up with full catering trays of pasta. And I stick that through the scanner. And they'll see it. You can see people scurrying. I mean, you'd think that I'm packing an Uzi or something the way they run in. But thank you, and I'll be more than happy to come back. And I know I kind of ramble on with the questions or with the answers. Do you guys have any other questions? I don't want you to feel I'm not going to just turn and burn. And I see people holding books. I'm not signing any of your damn books. Yes, sir.
Where'd you get your hot rod?
Which one, sir? That's the question I always like to ask. Which one? I'll tell you, it's a great story. I bought my first. Sit down, take a nap. Here we go. I bought my first one. I'd been saving my money. I never had any money. And every time I would get tips, I'd save $20. I'd take $20 out each time. So I'd save the money. So, of course, I did that. I saved the money. And I had like, I don't know, $7,000 or $8,000 in a boot. And it was this big wheel o' money. Okay, it was just wrapped around this big rubber band. And then I got married, and I had to spend the $7,000. It was a big wedding. And my wife actually graduated from SSU, and you see what she used it on, right? Managing this circus. So I did that. So then I spent the money on the wedding. So then I started saving the money again. Okay, and I didn't tell her about it. I didn't tell anybody about it. Just save the money, save the money, save the money. And so I got it up to like $10,000, $12,000. And I had always wanted a Super Sport Chevelle. I have a 71 big block Super Sport Chevelle. Anybody that's a hot rod fan, that's like the car. So for years, I'm trying to find the Chevelle for $10,000, and it just doesn't exist. Not a big block. And so anyhow, long story short, I found a Chevelle here in town, borrowed $3,000 from my business partner. I have $13,000 in my pocket now. I'm so excited to go see the Chevelle. I leave the money on the dashboard of my pickup as we go test drive the Chevelle. Don't worry, the money was still there. You wanted the story to go down that. You're sick. You see this, you come and give, and they wanted to hear did the money get taken? So anyhow, I get there, and I say to the dude, and the dude wanted $25,000 for the car. And I said, well, did you really mean that, or was that a typographical error? He says, no, it's $25,000. How much you got? And I said, well, I have. And I fan it out, And he says, that doesn't look like enough, because there's ones in there, And I'm trying to hide those with 20s, It's a European one. So I go through this whole thing. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Try the veal. So anyhow, my business partner, I said, well, I pull out the other pocket of money. I go, that much money's You know, like a 4-year-old, that much. And the guy says, I really don't think I can sell it for $13,000. My business. So then all of a sudden my business partner, which if you knew my business partner, you'd understand what a phenomenon this was, says, listen, we've been having such an issue with him and this damn Chevelle. This guy goes everywhere trying to find this miracle $10,000 Chevelle. This is not a ploy. I actually have another $4,000 that I'll put in with this. Would you just please sell him the damn car? The guy's like, I want to sell you this car. Because he has to get rid of it because it was from he and his ex-wife built the car and he can't have it now because his new wife doesn't like it and the whole thing. He said, boy, I want the car to go to you, man. And he goes, I just don't think I can do it. I said, how about you eat free at Johnny Garlic's for a year? Huh. So he goes, let me go talk to my wife. He goes inside. His wife, now this is no kidding. This is like right out of a movie. Wife comes walking out with the 16-year-old son, and you'll give him a job? They ate for a year, we gave the kid the job, and I drove the Chevelle home. You guys have been great. Thank you.
Good job.
So, hey, thanks, man.